Hello everybody, welcome to Snyder's Inc. And today we've got a top 15 video here, and this is top 15 unsolved mysteries that will creep you out. We won't get right into it. Let's go. Wait, hold on. Before we get into this, ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button, subscribe button, comment, stay down below. I might have said that already, but also if you'd like to help the channel out with a donation, you can leave a super thanks or link to our PayPal in the description. Now let's go.
Number 15. The suspicious death of Lauren Agee. Lauren Agee was born in Biloxi, Mississippi on August 19, 1993, to Sherry and Brian Agee, and spent her later life in Hendersonville, Tennessee with her mother, stepfather Michael Smith, and 3 siblings.
Why does Michael Smith look like he belongs as the lead singer of Nickelback? What the fuck is this look of his?
Known for her vibrant and outgoing nature, Lauren was remembered by her mother as full of sugar with a little bit of spice. She had a passion for the performing arts and was an enthusiastic dancer and gym.
That description is so weird to me. To describe your daughter as full of sugar with a little bit of spice is the weirdest way I've ever heard someone describe their own family member.
Gymnast. Although she earned a dance scholarship to Bethel University, she chose to study criminal justice at Volunteer State University instead. Lauren had an active social life and a significant relationship she cherished deeply. In July 2015, Lauren informed her mother, Sherry Smith, about her intention to attend Wakefest, a country music festival taking place on a lake, with her friend Hannah Palmer, which worried her mother. Sherry was concerned not only about the party atmosphere and alcohol consumption at the event, but also about Hannah, whom she considered unreliable and untrustworthy.
Oh God, that's not good. When you have a child and you see that, and they have that one friend that you know can't be trusted with anything. Like anything they say, you don't want them going somewhere. You want them going in a group. You don't want that person with them alone. That was the case here. Or she would make sure about Hannah being there than actually hurt her.
Despite her mother's reservations and intuition of danger, Lauren, asserting her independence at 21, reassured her mother that they would be staying in a cabin near the lake, rather than camping, to alleviate her concerns. On July 25, 2015, Lauren said farewell to her mother Sherry and stepfather Michael Smith, departing with Hannah for Center Hill Lake. Sherry recalled Lauren giving her especially heartfelt hugs before leaving. Their journey began positively, with the two sharing cheerful photos on social media during their drive. Upon reaching the lake, Lauren and Hannah met up with 2 men, Aaron Lilly, who was introduced as Hannah's new boyfriend, and Christopher Stout, whom Lauren had not previously met. The first day of the festival saw them engaging in typical festivities, like drinking, sports watching, and cliff diving, a common activity at the event. Lauren reportedly hit her head during one of the dives, momentarily losing consciousness, but she reassured everyone she was fine.
Oh, that's why I ain't going to ever go cliff diving. Ever in my life. Even if I could swim, I ain't cliff diving. They're like, why would you? I'm like, I don't trust the cliff. I don't trust me jumping with a cliff, and I don't trust the cliff. I could just hit my head and I could be fucked up from it. No thank you.
And continued to participate in the festivities, despite the potential risk of a concussion. Lauren was surprised to learn that their accommodation plans had changed from a cabin to camping on a cliffside, which was not what she had anticipated or prepared for. The camping site was precariously located between 2 steep drops.
Alright, I'm leaving then. I'm leaving at that moment. That's why I would never, if I'm going with friends, I'm going in my own vehicle. I'm like, I'll drive myself there. And they'd be like, wow, but kids, I want to leave, I'll leave. I don't ever want to be in a situation where I'm trapped somewhere.
And the group had to canoe and climb a steep cliff to reach it. Prepared with only a sleeping bag, flip-flops, her phone, and an extra set of clothes, Lauren expressed her dissatisfaction with the new sleeping arrangements, especially after discovering she would be expected to share a hammock with Chris Stout.
What the fuck?
She communicated her discomfort to her friend Cassie, indicating she had no romantic interest in Chris and was committed to her relationship with her boyfriend. That evening, the group returned to the marina. where video evidence from the Marina bar showed Lauren in high spirits.
I'm gonna tell you something. I'd be going to them. I'd be like, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna be straight. If this dude tries anything, he'll end up off that cliff. I wouldn't even hesitate. I'm like, if that dude tries something, he's end up off that cliff. If he disappears, you know what happened to him. You can tell them. He tried something, he got thrown off a cliff. I'm giving him the warning. I gave y'all the warning.
Despite a noticeable altercation between Aaron, Chris, and Cassie, who was Aaron's ex-girlfriend. Lauren had re-emphasized her discomfort at the sleeping arrangements, seeking an alternative, but Cassie could not offer her a place to stay. Despite recognizing the risks after a day filled with alcohol, the group recorded themselves navigating back to their dangerous death trap campsite by canoe.
This was look, I know they're gonna say that it was an accident. This is too suspicious to me. Just this setup. You don't camp near two dangerous deep cliff sides unless you plan something to happen. I'm sorry, that's not even a good sleeping arrangement in case something goes awry, especially after you're drinking.
They managed to return safely, settling into their tent and hammock for the night. On the morning of July 26th, the group discovered that Lauren was missing, despite all her personal items remaining at the campsite. Assuming she had left early, they proceeded to enjoy the festival without making any attempts to find her or inform others of her disappearance. They even inquired about her whereabouts with mutual friends, including Cassie Franks, but no one had seen her. Later that afternoon, around 4:45 p.m., Lynn Blair and his son Dylan, while fishing, found a body in the water, initially mistaking it for clothing. Officer Chris Yarchuk, working security at the festival, was informed about the body by marina employees Deanna and Harry Elder. Curiously, before the discovery was made public, Aaron was seen paddling towards the area, raising questions about his knowledge of the situation. Although it was beyond his jurisdiction, Yarchuk approached the scene, noting significant injuries on Lauren's body and suggesting the need for a forensic examination. The devastating news was soon delivered to Lauren's mother, Sherry, by a sheriff's deputy. Sherry had been feeling uneasy all day, continuously trying to contact Lauren. She immediately questioned the whereabouts of Lauren's companions upon learning of her daughter's death, prompting the authorities to begin questioning them.
I appreciate the mom there. She's just like, your daughter's unfortunately died. She's like, where were her friends? They're probably like, what do you mean? I'm like, if something's happened to her, look into them.
Hannah, Chris, and Aaron were taken for questioning. Immediately, their lack of concern for Lauren's overnight disappearance and their calm demeanor that morning appeared suspicious. Officers noted their apparent nervousness and secretive conversations. Aaron was overheard instructing the others to remain silent, with an unconfirmed claim of him threatening to disarm an officer, though no action was taken against him by officers. In their interviews, inconsistencies emerged. They initially claimed Lauren was missing when they awoke, assuming she was with other festival goers. Their stories, however, began to diverge under scrutiny. Hannah claimed Lauren left with unidentified males early Saturday, while Aaron stated she never returned to the campsite after leaving the bar. Chris suggested Lauren might have accidentally fallen into the lake overnight. Their varying accounts raised further suspicions.
Yeah, because that means you all have no clue what you did not all come up with a story here. I don't know if they just assumed Lauren wouldn't be found. I don't know. I don't know why all of them would come to do this just to plan her murder. Like, was the thought is, oh, we're gonna have a hookup with Chris, and then she said no because she's in a relationship, and they all just got mad. I don't know. I don't understand the thought process here. Why you would go after her is so confusing.
About the circumstances surrounding Lauren's disappearance and death. Lauren's body was removed from the water and immediately taken for an autopsy, which indicated blunt force trauma as the cause of death. The autopsy also showed that Lauren had suffered various injuries, including broken fingers, a broken nose, and several bruises across her body, one of which resembled a bite mark. Going against typical procedures, no examination was conducted due to the presence of a tampon, a decision criticized by private investigator Sheila Wysocki for its lack of logic, as assault can occur regardless.
That's a great point. That's not even illogical. It's just like, do we want to do a sexual assault? Well, you said there was a tampon, right? Yeah, so that clearly was never been a sexual assault. There was a tampon there. Despite the fact one has nothing to do with the other, that is fucked up logic. That's not even that doesn't even make no sense.
The absence of a kit meant no DNA evidence was collected.
Yep.
Additionally, Lauren's clothing was reported by her mother to be unfamiliar and incorrectly fastened, suggesting she might not have dressed herself. The autopsy found Lauren's blood alcohol level to be significantly high, with no other drugs in her system. The injuries were deemed consistent with a fall, and her throat showed signs of potential impact trauma, which was attributed to hitting rocks. However, the lack of water in her lungs suggested she was already deceased before entering the water. Despite these conflicting findings and family suspicions of foul play, authorities ruled her death as accidental.
Knew it! Knew it! They always do. Because here's the thing, you could have the crime scene be like, we found her in the wall, she might have gone off a cliff, her head was already bashed in by a mile away, she clearly was dead, her throat slit, she was cut in 6 places, she's missing an arm, and they're like, oh, so she fell off the cliff, it's an accident. Sometimes police confuse me with how they think sometimes. It's just, so much of this seems like you could have done extra work and they were just like, nah, no point.
Cassie, who had spoken to Lauren the night before she died regarding the controversial sleeping arrangements, expressed her concerns to the police about Aaron's history of violence and Chris's legal troubles, but her input did not alter the case's conclusion.
Nope.
After the incident, Chris shared photos online celebrating the weekend, which was met with controversy and disbelief regarding its timing.
I will admit to be like, yeah, we had a great fucking weekend, yeah. Look at all these pictures I took of Lauren, bitch. Look at that, she looks, yeah, we all had a great damn time. All of us had a great experience. And I'm like, isn't one of you dead? It's fine though, we all agree, like, we all had a great time. Once we found out she was dead, we just went right back to partying, there was no problem, like, I guess he just can't even, like, He's definitely a fucking idiot.
In the aftermath, a fundraiser was organized in Lauren's memory, and her funeral featured her favorite music, attended by many of her friends except Hannah, Aaron, and Chris.
Oh, absolutely.
Later, when
Chris isn't even a friend. Chris is, just someone there, if I remember correctly. Chris is someone she didn't even know, so obviously he's not a friend of hers.
Lauren's mother, Sherry, confronted Hannah for more details, she noticed a change in Hannah's account, suggesting Lauren had accidentally fallen while going to the bathroom at night. During this conversation, Sherry overheard Aaron instructing Hannah to adhere to their story, further adding to the doubts surrounding Lauren's tragic death. Sherry, seeking clarity on her daughter's mysterious death, employed private investigator Sheila Wysocki. Wysocki's efforts led to a second look at Lauren's autopsy, uncovering previously undisclosed information, such as throat hemorrhaging, possibly indicative of strangulation. Officer Yarchuk, who doubted the accidental death conclusion, collaborated with Wysocki, conducting experiments with a mannequin to replicate Lauren's supposed fall from the cliff. Despite numerous attempts, they concluded Lauren could not have ended up in the water from a fall due to the terrain and the lack of injuries consistent with such a fall. They also observed that if Lauren had inadvertently entered the water, she would have drifted to a different location due to the currents. Yarchuk also recalled a distinctive triangular mark on Lauren's chest, matching a section of the canoe rented by Aaron and Chris, suggesting it came from her body being transported, contrary to police suggestions that it occurred during the recovery process. Despite their findings, The case faced opposition and was marred by internet trolls, some of whom were traced back to the vicinity where Hannah and Aaron lived. Wysocki addressed the case in her podcast Without Warning, part of a growing trend of using true crime platforms to spotlight overlooked cases. Sherry initiated a $10 million wrongful death lawsuit against those she believed were involved, including a previously unmentioned person named Brixner Gambrell.
This dude looks like he belongs in a fucking movie. Like, what the fuck?
She also sought the 911 call recordings, which were unfortunately lost due to a reported technical issue, deepening her suspicions.
There's something fucked up here. There's something I don't understand. Why are we, because this is another case where I don't understand. Why would you cover this up for? There's no way Hannah, Aaron, or Chris are that special that they need to be protected. Why are we covering up this case for? I don't understand. Why would we cover this up?
During legal proceedings, Hannah, Chris, and Aaron exercised their right to remain silent, avoiding self-incrimination. Notably, Hannah refrained from responding to direct questions regarding her involvement in Lauren's death. Although Hannah was eventually dismissed from the lawsuit, the case gained a new dimension when a witness claimed to have seen Aaron Lilly in a distressed state the night of Lauren's death, contradicting the group's reported timeline. As of today, the true circumstances of Lauren Taylor Agee's death remain unresolved, leaving her family and community seeking answers and justice. Number 14.
There's definitely more to this. There's definitely more to that than just she fell off a cliff, 100%.
The Lurenskog disappearance.
The what?
Anne Elizabeth Hagen was a prominent figure in the affluent community of Lurenskog, Norway. Born into a life of privilege, she was known for her philanthropic endeavors and her active involvement in local charitable causes. Anne Elizabeth's husband, Tom Hagen, was a successful businessman with interests in real estate and energy, making the couple one of the most prominent and well-off in the area. Their marriage, which by all accounts seemed idyllic from the outside, hid tension beneath the surface. Reports eventually surfaced of financial disputes between Tom and Anne Elizabeth, leading some to speculate that their relationship was not as harmonious as it appeared. On the morning of October 31st, 2018, Tom left for work, leaving Anne Elizabeth alone in their home with their new puppy. A phone call between Anne Elizabeth and a family member occurred at 9:14 a.m., shortly after Tom's departure. However, when a neighbor attempted to reach her at 9:48 a.m. regarding a previous arrangement, Anne Elizabeth did not answer, an unusual occurrence. Tom returned home from work earlier than usual, around 1:30 p.m.
Sorry, I knew that was coming. I knew I was coming, I apologize.
Yeah, only to discover a scene of disarray. Anne Elizabeth's belongings were strewn about. A ransom note demanding $9 million in Monero cryptocurrency lay on the floor, and their puppy was confined to a room. The note threatened harm to Anne Elizabeth and warned against contacting the police.
Hold on, so you're telling me these people would do what I would do. They kidnapped this woman, but then went, well, we can't harm the dog. Let's put the dog in a room. Just to make sure the dog's safe and nothing happens to it. We don't want to cause any harm to the dog now. Apparently the woman's fine, but the dog is not. We must leave. You don't touch the dog. You hurt the human, don't hurt the dog, apparently.
Despite the risks outlined in the ransom note, Tom promptly contacted the authorities at 2:07 p.m., who quickly initiated a covert investigation due to threats against the family. Traces of Anne Elizabeth's blood and a shoe print were discovered in the house, adding to the mystery surrounding her disappearance. However, suspicions soon arose regarding the authenticity of the ransom demand. Investigators noted several inconsistencies in the note's language and structure. leading them to question whether it was indeed written by a professional criminal or someone closer to the home. This suspicion only deepened when it was revealed that the ransom demand was to be paid in Monero, a cryptocurrency known for its privacy features, suggesting a level of sophistication not typically associated with amateur kidnappers.
Fair.
As the investigation unfolded, attention turned to Tom Hagen himself.
Yeah, there's some weirdness to this. I'm not gonna lie. There's some things I would be suspicious of this guy for.
With some speculating that he may have orchestrated Anne Elizabeth's disappearance as part of a complex financial scheme. Despite vehemently denying any involvement in his wife's disappearance, Tom became the subject of intense scrutiny from both law enforcement and the public. Over the ensuing months, Tom maintained a facade of normalcy, attending work while concealing his true feelings about Anne Elizabeth's disappearance from friends and family. Meanwhile, investigators worked tirelessly behind the scenes, analyzing evidence and pursuing leads. In January 2019, the police released surveillance footage showing two unidentified individuals near Tom's workplace on the morning of the disappearance, suggesting possible accomplices. However, communication from the alleged kidnappers remained sporadic and cryptic, raising further questions about their motives and identities. Despite Tom's willingness to comply with the ransom demands, no evidence of Anne Elizabeth's well-being was provided. The case took a grim turn in June 2019, when the police shifted their hypothesis, suspecting that Anne Elizabeth had been murdered rather than kidnapped for financial gain. Yet, despite exhaustive efforts by the Norwegian police and international law enforcement agencies, Anne Elizabeth's whereabouts remained elusive. Numerous leads were pursued, including reports of suspicious activity near the Hagen residence on the morning of her disappearance, and possible sightings of Anne Elizabeth in the months that followed. However, none yielded definitive answers, leaving investigators no closer to unraveling the mystery. Today, the case of Anne Elizabeth Hagen's disappearance continues to confound authorities and the public alike. Theories abound as to what may have befallen her, ranging from elaborate kidnapping plots to staged disappearances orchestrated by those closest to her. Yet, amidst the speculation and uncertainty, one thing remains clear. The truth behind Anne Elizabeth's disappearance may never be learned, leaving her loved ones to grapple with the agonizing uncertainty of her fate. Number 13. The disappearance of Russell Bowling. Russell Bowling, born to Christine and Roger Bowling on December 29, 1991, enjoyed a serene upbringing alongside his older brothers Andrew and Nigel in East Riding, Yorkshire, England. The family, well bonded and comfortably off, represented the quintessential upper-middle-class household. Post-education, Russell, who had a speech disorder, embarked on a bricklaying course at Bishop Burton College. Tragically, on March 2, 2010, the 18-year-old left his home and was never seen again. That morning, he departed for college dressed more formally than usual, in a black Ben Sherman jacket, blue jeans, and black sneakers. When he didn't return home by the evening, his parents alerted the authorities. On the day he vanished, a Bempton Cliffs Nature Reserve employee noticed Russell's car parked there late into the afternoon. The employee, seeing that Russell had bought a parking ticket at 11:30 a.m., assumed he was simply enjoying his visit and lingering in the preserve. Concern only arose the following day, when the car remained unmoved. Bempton Cliffs, located about a 45-minute drive from Russell's home, seemed an unlikely destination, given his car's limited fuel at the time of his departure and his scant bank balance of less than £10. Despite these constraints, there was no record of Russell refueling, prompting questions about how he reached the cliffs and whether he was accompanied. Further, upon examining his satellite navigation system, his parents discovered unexplained trips to Bradford, Bridlington.
Wait, hold on. After checking his what?
prompting questions about how he reached the cliffs and whether he was accompanied. Further, upon examining his satellite navigation system,
After checking his satellite navigation system, is that the UK version of the GPS? What the is? I mean, it might be what they. I've just never heard of GPS called a satellite navigation system. I've never heard it.
his parents discovered unexplained trips to Bradford, Bridlington, and York during the times he told his family he was attending college, leading to speculation about the purpose of these journeys and his mysterious visit to Bempton Cliffs. Bempton Cliffs, known for its natural beauty, also hosts a decommissioned RAF base, which was active during World War II until its shutdown in April 1972. Efforts were made to block public entry to its underground facilities post-closure, resulting in an eerie, abandoned site characterized by a derelict bungalow and a prominent chimney stack. Despite its dilapidated state, the site holds a mysterious allure, particularly due to the provocative and disturbing graffiti found in its tunnels, including explicit and satanic imagery, though the creators of these drawings remain anonymous.
Oh, of course.
There have been rumors and online chatter about the site being used by a satanic cult for rituals in the past, but no concrete evidence supports these claims. It turned out that Russell, intrigued by the bunker's history and the rumored cult activities, had extensively researched the site and collected images related to it, which he kept on a memory stick that was always with him. Despite his family's belief that he had never visited the site, his disappearance
I don't know on that. If he's gone there, I think he has. I'm pretty sure he has visited that site. I don't know what he went there for, but he visited it.
raised questions about whether he had gone to explore the bunker that had long fascinated him. Considering Russell's speech disorder, there was concern that he might have been vulnerable to exploitation if he encountered someone with harmful intentions. The mystery deepened as the memory stick he carried, along with its unique images, was never recovered. As the search for Russell unfolded, his family's trust in the police waned, prompting them to finance a thorough search of the bunker nearly 2 years after his disappearance. Despite the concerted effort and the use of specialized equipment, no trace of Russell was found in the bunker. In the years following, despite the site being officially sealed, adventurous individuals have continued to access and explore the bunker, sharing new images of its bizarre and unsettling graffiti online. Before his disappearance, Russell was also performing searches online for the town of Ravenscar, where the family owned a holiday home. This led his parents to wonder if he had planned to visit Ravenscar. In August 2010, the discovery of human feet in the Humber estuary, near Bempton Cliffs, briefly raised the family's hopes for answers. One of the feet had a boot resembling one missing from Russell's belongings, which he was thought to have been wearing. Despite this, forensic tests showed no connection to Russell, deepening the mystery. Confusingly, a pair of Russell sneakers, previously thought to be missing along with Russell himself, were later found at the Ravenscar holiday home, leading to more questions about his whereabouts or fate. Police developed a different theory based on a voice recording they found, interpreted as a farewell message from Russell, expressing feelings of inadequacy compared to his family and wishing for a countryside burial. This recording, made 3 years prior during a stressful exam period, was known to his parents, who believed Russell had moved past these feelings, especially since starting college. Bempton Cliffs is known as a site where people have tragically ended their lives, leading police to theorize that Russell might have chosen this fate. However, with no body found and his parents claiming that his spirits had improved since he started college, the true reason behind Russell's actions remains unclear. Russell Bowling was set to receive a considerable inheritance from his father, Roger, following a diagnosis of a degenerative brain disease. This inheritance included a house and £300,000, which Russell planned to use to start a business. Roger Bowling's revelation to his sons about his illness and his wish for a dignified end to his life could have deeply impacted Russell. The impending inheritance, meant to secure the future of their Bowling children, might have inadvertently led to stress or unintended consequences for Russell, considering his youth and the significant sum involved. On the day Russell vanished, his family suspected he didn't travel to Bempton Cliffs alone, given the small amount of fuel in his car and his limited finances. To validate their suspicions, Russell's parents replicated his journey with the same fuel level and concluded he must have received assistance to reach the destination, suggesting he met with someone there. The case took a dark turn when illegal images were discovered on the family's computers during the investigation into Russell's disappearance. Roger Bowling faced charges related to the possession of child exploitation images and bestiality content.
What the fuck has this turned
found across
into?
Multiple devices.
How did this turn from such a thing? He had cancer and he was gonna die and leave them all thinking, and suddenly out of nowhere, now this guy's being charged of child exploitation photos and bestiality photos. How the fuck does one turn to that? What? The fuck?
Is in the family's home. Despite Roger's claims that he was not responsible for downloading the material, his conviction led to a loss of public sympathy and sparked speculation about the family's dynamics and Russell's state of mind prior to his disappearance. An inquest held in December 2019 concluded that Russell likely died at sea, although it was unclear how he met his fate. The assistant coroner could not determine whether Russell's death was accidental, a result of an asthma attack, or if he had fallen from the cliffs. The lack of evidence left many questions unanswered, haunting the Bowling family with the unresolved details of Russell's last day. Despite the inquest's findings, the Bowling family remained convinced that someone else was involved in Russell's disappearance, suggesting that fear of repercussions might be preventing the individual from coming forward. The unresolved nature of the case and the absence of new leads continue to shroud Russell's fate in mystery, leaving his family and the public to speculate about what truly happened on March 2nd, 2010. Number 12. The Burger Chef Murders. In the quaint town of Speedway, Indiana, nestled in the heartland of America, the Burger Chef restaurant was a stalwart of fast food convenience for locals and travelers alike. But on the evening of November 17, 1978, the familiar glow of its golden signage would be overshadowed by a darkness that would haunt the community for years to come. As the sun dipped below the horizon and the evening rush faded into the night, the Burger Chef was abuzz with activity. Inside, 4 young employees prepared to close up shop for the night. Assistant manager Jane Freed, a 20-year-old with dreams of a bright future, supervised the closing procedures with efficiency and poise. Alongside her were cooks Ruth Shelton, just 17 years old but already showing promise in the kitchen, and Daniel Davis, a 16-year-old with a penchant for flipping burgers with precision. Rounding out the team was Mark Flemons, a 16-year-old cashier known for his quick wit and easy smile. As the clock struck closing time, the team worked diligently to tidy up the restaurant and secure the building for the night ahead. With the last customer finally served and the doors locked behind them, they bid farewell to their coworkers and made their way out into the cool November air. Little did they know, it would be the last time they walked out of those doors. The following morning dawned with a sense of unease as the manager arrived at the Burger Chef to find the restaurant eerily quiet. Upon entering, his worst fears were confirmed. The cash register lay empty, the safe had been tampered with, and the personal belongings of the night shift employees remained untouched. Something was terribly wrong. Frantic, the manager called the police, who quickly descended upon the scene.
I'm gonna guess, unless they find the bodies there, their first assumption was that they all robbed the place. And then it turns into, oh no, something probably happened to them. That's my assumption.
What began as a routine investigation into a possible break-in soon spiraled into a nightmare when the authorities discovered that Jane, Ruth, Daniel, and Mark had not returned to their respective homes that night. With each passing hour, the sense of dread deepened. Friends and family members anxiously awaited news of their loved ones, their minds racing with terrifying possibilities. It wasn't long before search teams were dispatched to comb the surrounding area for any sign of the missing employees. Then, just when hope seemed all but lost, a grim discovery shattered the community's fragile peace. The bodies of Jane, Ruth, Daniel, and Mark were found in a remote wooded area, their lives brutally cut short in a senseless act of violence. The crime scene told a chilling story of terror and despair. Ruth and Daniel had been shot multiple times.
I don't know if Chill still runs this channel, like actually owns it and just has someone else narrating it, or if this is given to someone else, but I enjoy these videos, so I'm glad they're doing more of them.
Their young lives snuffed out in an instant. Jane had been viciously stabbed, her dreams of a bright future extinguished in a moment of unfathomable cruelty. And Mark, the youngest among them, had been beaten to death.
So, if this was done by one person, I am shocked that none of them tried to fight back. Like, still 4 of you. You know what I mean? Like, there's 4 of you there. You could have tried at least.
His body left battered and broken.
Not saying it's their fault or anything. I'm just saying, you know, it's what happened to fighting instincts, survival instincts. What happened to that? Because I feel like most people now just do what they have said and then get killed. What happened to survive? Just doing what you got to. Because if I'm being brought to a forest, I'm fighting for my life. Because I ain't going to be left in that forest alive. I ain't going to be doing it. Ain't going to happen. You're going to be left there to die. So why didn't you just, you know, if I'm out that somewhere like that, I know I'm going to die. I might die, so I'm going to fight back.
Initial leads and theories ranged from a botched robbery to a personal vendetta, but inconsistencies and a lack of physical evidence stymied the investigation. Various suspects were considered, including known criminals and local troublemakers, but no conclusive evidence was ever found, and no one could be charged with the heinous crime. Over the years, numerous theories have emerged regarding who could have committed the Burger Chef murders. Some theories suggest the involvement of local drug rings or organized crime, while others believe that it was the work of a random assailant. Despite extensive investigations, including the re-examination of evidence and new interviews, the case remains unsolved. Today, the Burger Chef murders still haunt the town of Speedway. The case is revisited periodically by law enforcement, with hopes that new technology or information will shed new light on the perpetrators. The families of the victims, along with the community, continue to seek closure and justice for the senseless loss of 4 young lives. The Burger Chef murders remain a cold case, but many still remember the night that forever changed a small town. Number 11. The Salish Seafoot Discoveries. August 20th, 2007 was a typical hot summer day. A family vacationing from Washington was exploring the serene environment of Jedediah Island in British Columbia, Canada. The peace of the day was shattered when their 12-year-old daughter stumbled upon a chilling discovery: an Adidas shoe, size 12, eerily resting on the shore, containing a human foot. This macabre find marked the beginning of a series of similarly gruesome discoveries that would puzzle and terrify the inhabitants of the Pacific Northwest for years to come. Within less than a week, the tranquility of another island, Gabriola, located 86 kilometers south of Jedediah, was disturbed by a similar grim find. A couple hiking on the island found a Reebok trainer, 12 inches in size, dragged ashore, likely by animals, with remnants of another severed foot inside. The local police, already perplexed by the Jedediah Island case, were confronted with a scenario that seemed beyond belief. Gary Cox of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police expressed the community's disbelief and growing horror as he addressed the media, stating the improbability of one such discovery, let alone two. As 2008 dawned, the mystery only deepened. More feet, encased in shoes, began to wash up along the shores of the Salish Sea. Each discovery brought with it a new wave of speculation and fear. Was a serial killer discarding their victims into the sea? The public imagination ran wild with theories ranging from tragic accidents to nefarious criminal activities. By February 8, 2008, the unsettling pattern continued as two matching feet were discovered on Valdez Island, suggesting a single unfortunate soul's remains being gradually revealed by the tide. The community's anxiety was palpable as the once peaceful coastal regions became the backdrop for a macabre mystery. The situation continued to escalate as more feet were found, each still in.
So these people just finding feet everywhere. Just no other parts of a body, just feet. Just shoes with feet in them. Fucking weird thing for a murderer to leave behind. Like, just allow them to be washed up. It's very weird.
Cased in shoes, and each an artifact of a life that had been lost in some unknown tragedy. Investigators faced a daunting task as they attempted to piece together the scant evidence provided by the washed-up remains. Prevailing theories fluctuated wildly, from victims of a plane crash or boating accident to the sinister works of drug cartels. Yet, as forensic analysis progressed, a pattern began to emerge. Many of the feet appeared to have detached naturally from their bodies due to the marine environment's relentless forces. This revelation provided little comfort, however, as it suggested the bodies of the deceased were still adrift, lost to the depths. They were carried to shore in the shoes that the deceased were wearing due to the buoyancy of the running shoes, which could float long distances compared to other articles of clothing. The narrative took on new dimensions as each new find seemed to deepen the mystery rather than clarify it. The case took on a life of its own, with the media and public alike captivated by the eerie phenomena. Many believed the feet were likely from victims of a 2005 plane crash, but not all of them matched the descriptions of the victims of that accident. Authorities worked tirelessly to identify the remains, hoping to be able to reach out to the family members of the deceased with closure about missing loved ones. Over time, a few victims were identified, painting a tragic picture of individuals who had met untimely ends through various misfortunes. One theory was particularly popular, posited the involvement of a serial killer. This line of thought was driven by the macabre nature of the findings. Severed feet washing ashore seemed like something out of a horror story. However, this theory began to wane as investigations progressed. Forensic analysis revealed no signs of tool marks or foul play on the severed limbs, suggesting that these were not the results of criminal acts, but rather of natural decomposition. The possibility of or intentional disappearances also emerged as a significant theory. It was thought that some of the feet might belong to individuals who had tragically chosen to end their lives, or who had accidentally fallen into the sea. This theory was supported by the identification of some of the remains, which matched missing persons known to have been struggling with mental health issues or personal crises. Some of the deceased may have also fallen victim to boating accidents, or been swept away in strong currents, only for their partial remains to be buoyed back to shore along the same tides that pulled them out to sea. A more far-fetched theory linked some of the unidentified feet to the aftermath of the 2004 Asian tsunami. Proponents of this theory argue that the feet could belong to some of the tsunami's unidentified victims, carried across the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean to the shores of the Salish Sea. This theory was bolstered by the fact that some of the shoes found with the feet were models sold or manufactured before 2004. However, ocean currents and timelines made this theory less plausible, as
Yeah, that's when I saw it immediately if someone pitched that to me.
did the identification of several feet belonging to individuals local to the British Columbia area. The phenomena of the Salish Sea feet, while no longer shrouded in the same intense mystery as when they were first discovered, remains puzzling to many investigators. Theories and investigations continue to evolve, with advancements in forensic science offering new pathways to understanding. Many of the feet remain unidentified, and families whose loved ones they belong to still have no closure around their loved one's ultimate fate. The story of the Salish Sea feet continues to fascinate the public and make headlines to this day. Number 10. The Yuba County Five. The Yuba County Five, often referred to as America's Dyatlov Pass incident, involves the mysterious disappearance and eventual deaths of 5 men in Yuba County, California, in February 1978. The group comprised Gary Mathias, Jack Hewitt, Jack Madruga, Tom Weiher, and Bill Sterling, who had all planned to attend a college basketball game in Chico, California, on the evening of February 24, 1978. The events leading up to their disappearance were ordinary. The men, all friends with special needs who enjoyed sports and often spent time together, were excited about the basketball game. They drove from Yuba City to Chico in Madruga's Mercury Montego. After the game, they stopped at a local market for snacks, which was the last time they were seen alive. When they did not return home, families began to worry and eventually reported them missing. The search initially yielded few results until their car was found abandoned on a mountain road in the Plumas National Forest, far from their expected route home. The car was stuck in the snow, but not seriously, and still had gas in the tank, leading investigators to question why the men had abandoned it. The alarm was raised by their families the next day when they failed to return home. The initial investigation into the disappearance was hampered by harsh winter conditions. It wasn't until the snow melted in spring that searchers discovered the bodies. Ted Weiher's body was found inside a Forest Service trailer at a campsite about 19 miles from the car. Despite a nearby storage shed full of food and a heating source in the trailer, Weiher died of hypothermia and starvation. The bodies of Madruga, Sterling, and Hewitt were discovered at varying distances from the trailer, also dead from hypothermia. The body of Gary Mathias, who had a history of mental health issues and was under medication, has never been found. Theories about their disappearance have varied widely. Some speculate that they may have been forced up the mountain by foul play, while others suggest they could have been disoriented, perhaps by carbon monoxide poisoning from the car's exhaust, a theory supported by the way the car was found. Another theory suggests Mathias, due to his mental health issues, might have led the group astray. There's also speculation about whether they were following or meeting someone, as their presence so far off their planned route remains unexplained. No theory fully explains why the men left the safety of the car, how they made their way to the remote.
This all goes, it depends if anyone knew who was driving the car. That is what could change the entire thought process, but since no one knows, it's hard to say what happened.
Trailer.
When it comes to did the mental health guy lead them astray or shit like that.
Or why they failed to use the available resources to survive. The case is further complicated by reported sightings of the men after they were supposed to have disappeared, and the mystery that remains regarding Mathias, as he is the only one whose body was never recovered. Today, the case remains as perplexing as ever. No definitive conclusions have been reached, and the Yuba County 5 case remains one of the most baffling unsolved mysteries in American history. Theories continue to circulate, but without new evidence, the truth about what happened to these 5 men in the winter of 1978 may never be known. Number 9. The lead coffins of Arthur's Seat. In the summer of 1836, a most peculiar discovery was made on the slopes of Arthur's Seat, a prominent hill that towers over the city of Edinburgh. The day began innocuously enough when a group of young boys, seeking adventure, stumbled upon a small cave hidden within the crags. Inside, they uncovered something unexpected and chilling. 17 tiny coffins, each meticulously crafted and eerily adorned. The coffins, carved from wood and each measuring only a few inches in length, were arranged in 3 tiers within the cave. Each contained a miniature figure, dressed in custom-tailored clothing, which lay within as if in a state of eternal rest. The careful craftsmanship suggested a purposeful and solemn intention behind their creation and placement, igniting immediate speculation and mystery around their origin and meaning. Theories circulated as to the purpose and origin of these miniature coffins. Some posited they were part of a dark and sinister ritual conducted by a cult or even witches. Others speculated they were keepsakes to memorialize the dead, perhaps created in the image of loved ones lost at sea, as families of sailors often did not have a grave to visit. Yet another theory linked them to the infamous Burke and Hare murders, which had taken place locally less than a decade before, with proponents of the theory suggesting that the coffins might be effigies for the victims of the notorious killers, a tangible representation of lives snatched away and unavenged. As the news of the discovery spread, the coffins quickly became enshrined in local lore. Edinburgh, with its dark past and Gothic architecture, provided the perfect backdrop for such a mysterious find, and speculation and debate about the coffins has run rampant in the city. In the years following their discovery, the coffins seemed to raise more questions than answers. Was there significance to the number or the way they were arranged? The craftsmanship pointed to considerable time and effort spent on each figure. Who would dedicate so much care to such macabre artifacts, and why?
The more I listen to this video, the more I love the word macabre.
As time passed, many of the original coffins were lost or destroyed, leaving only 8, which now reside in the collections of the National Museum of Scotland. These surviving pieces continue to be objects of fascination and study, offering tantalizing clues, yet withholding their full story. Modern forensic and historical research has shed light on some aspects of the coffins, suggesting that they were created around the time of the Burke and Hare murders, which took place in 1828. Yet all that has been found only deepened the mystery, rather than dispel it. The lead coffins of Arthur's Seat remain one of Edinburgh's most enduring riddles. Are they memorials to lost souls, tokens of witchcraft, or relics from a forgotten crime? The true purpose and origin of these miniature coffins may never be fully understood, and this captivating puzzle from the past continues to enthrall historians and amateur enthusiasts alike. Number 8. The Lost Dutchman's Gold Mine. Nestled within the Superstition Mountains of Arizona lies a legend as rich and alluring as the purported treasure itself: the Lost Dutchman's Gold Mine. This legend, woven together from Native American folklore, Spanish colonial expeditions, and the rugged dreams of prospectors, has become ingrained in the fabric of the American Southwest. The origins of this fabled mine trace back to the indigenous peoples of the region, including the Pima and Apache tribes, who whispered of a land containing untold treasures and hidden wealth. The Superstition Mountains, named for the aura of mystery they evoked, were revered and feared, believed to be the home of spirits and untold secrets. The story gained momentum in the 19th century, intertwined with and underlined by the tragic tale of the Peralta family from northern Mexico. They were reputed to have unearthed a rich vein of gold within the foreboding mountains. However, their fortune was cut short in 1848 when, laden with gold, they were ambushed by Apache warriors in an area now known as the Massacre Grounds. The few who survived fled back to Mexico, leaving behind them a trail of blood and buried secrets. The mine, however, remained lost to the sands of time until it allegedly found its way into the hands of a German immigrant, Jacob Waltz, dubbed the Dutchman despite his true origins. Legend has it that Waltz rediscovered the mine with the assistance of a Peralta descendant in the 1870s. Together with his partner Jacob Weiser, Waltz worked the mine and secreted away caches of gold, often rumored to be hidden near the iconic Weaver's Needle rock column. Fate, however, would not be kind to the pair. Weiser met a grisly end, murdered by Apaches, or perhaps, as some whisper, by the hand of Waltz himself in a moment of dark greed. Waltz's story concludes in Phoenix, where he spent his final days plagued by ill health and haunted by a secret he could never fully reveal. On his deathbed in 1891, he confided the mine's whereabouts to Julia Thomas, a kindly neighbor who had been caring for him. But the cryptic clues he left behind were a labyrinth with no exit. Thomas, like countless treasure hunters after her, scoured the Superstition Mountains but returned empty-handed. The legend of the Lost Dutchman's mine has since become a magnet for adventurers, each drawn by the lure of gold and the mystery of its cursed history. The mountain range has claimed many lives, fueling rumors of a sinister force that guards the hidden treasure. Some speculate that the mine's elusiveness is a cosmic punishment for those who dare to desecrate sacred ground, while others believe it is merely the natural peril of a treacherous wilderness. In the present day, the Lost Dutchman's gold mine remains one of America's most enduring legends, speaking to the human yearning for wealth, adventure, and the unknown. The Superstition Mountains continue their watch over the secrets they keep, and challenge the bravest souls to uncover what may be hidden there. Number 7. The disappearance of Joseph Force Crater. Joseph Force Crater's story begins in the small town of Easton, Pennsylvania, where he was born in 1889. His early life was unremarkable, but he was ambitious and determined. Crater pursued higher education with vigor, eventually graduating from Lafayette College and then Columbia Law School. His intelligence and charisma served him well, and soon after completing his education, he began to climb the legal ranks in New York City. Crater's rise to power was rapid. He quickly became a well-known figure in the New York legal community, moving into influential circles that included businessmen and politicians. His career took a significant turn when, in April 1930, he was appointed as a judge to the New York Supreme Court by then-Governor Franklin D. Roosevelt. This position was a testament to his success, but also placed him at the center of New York's political and social elite, a position that came with its own set of risks and entanglements. Judge Crater was known for his affluence and socialite lifestyle. He was ubiquitous at high-profile events and was known to associate with various famed figures, some reputable and others more dubious. His connections with Tammany Hall, the powerful New York political machine known for its corruption, made him a subject of controversy and speculation. The mystery surrounding Judge Crater began on August 6, 1930. Judge Crater and his wife were vacationing in Maine when the judge received a phone call, after which he told his wife that he needed to return to New York City on urgent business. Crater's actions on this day were peculiar. He removed and destroyed documents from his office, cashed checks worth a considerable sum of money, and then attended a Broadway show after dining with friends. He was last seen walking down a street in Manhattan after the dinner, and from that moment, he vanished without a trace. His disappearance sparked widespread media attention and public speculation.
Yeah, that just seems weird. I mean, he destroys document, that's weird. He then goes to cash checks to large sums of money, then goes to dinner with his friends, goes to a Broadway show, walks down the street, and then vanishes into thin air. So, that's definitely weird. There's definitely something up there.
Various theories were proposed. Had he been murdered by organized crime figures or political enemies due to his legal and political connections? Did he decide to disappear voluntarily due to personal or financial problems? Or was he the victim of a personal vendetta or love triangle? Despite extensive investigations and numerous potential leads, none of these theories could be definitively proven. One of the more sensational aspects of the case emerged many years later when a letter surfaced, written by the widow of a New York police officer. She claimed her husband had been involved in Crater's murder, and that his body was buried under what is now the New York Aquarium. However, despite this lead and the public's enduring fascination with the case, no conclusive evidence has ever been found to confirm this theory or to solve the mystery of Judge Crater's disappearance. As the years passed, the mystery of Joseph Force Crater became part of New York folklore, symbolizing the corruption and intrigue of the Tammany Hall era. His case remains one of the most enduring mysteries in American history, a narrative woven from the fabric of New York's roaring 20s and the dark underbelly of its political landscape. Despite numerous investigations and the passage of time, the fate of Joseph Force Crater remains unknown, his story a lingering question mark over New York's history. Number 6. The Ghost Ship of Northumberland Strait. The Ghost Ship of Northumberland Strait is a legendary phantom ship,
That sounds awesome.
sightings of which have been reported for over 2 centuries. The earliest recorded sighting dates back to the late 18th century, but it is the numerous accounts from the 19th and 20th centuries that have truly cemented its place in maritime folklore. According to various records, the ghost ship appears as a stunning 3-mast schooner, ablaze with glowing lights, or entirely engulfed in flames. Witnesses have reported seeing it sailing swiftly through the strait between Prince Edward Island and New Brunswick, Canada, particularly during stormy weather or before a storm. Despite its vivid and terrifying presence, attempts to approach the ship have always resulted in it vanishing into thin air, leaving no trace behind. There are several theories regarding the origin of this spectral vessel. One suggests that it is the ghostly reincarnation of a ship that caught fire at sea, with all hands lost, forever doomed to reenact its tragic end. Another theory ties the ship to historical naval battles, suggesting it could be the spirit of a warship destroyed in a forgotten conflict. Some believe that the ship could be a
I love the idea of a ghost ship, like a ship that just vanishes and you have no knowledge. It looks like it's going and it's on fire the entire time you see it, but when you go near it, it's just gone. Like, that's an awesome
residual haunting, a phenomenon where a traumatic event is so powerful that it leaves an imprint on the surroundings, replaying itself over the years. Yet another theory suggests that it might be a harbinger of doom, appearing before major maritime disasters or in treacherous conditions to warn of impending danger. Despite numerous investigations and scientific attempts to explain the phenomena, no conclusive evidence has been provided to explain the sightings. Another theory, rooted in natural science, speculates that the sightings could be attributed to rare atmospheric conditions. Optical illusions such as Fata Morgana could project the image of a distant ship onto a layer of mist or fog, making it appear as if a burning ship is floating on the water. St. Elmo's fire, an electrical weather phenomenon, could account for the fiery aspect of the sightings, as it causes a visible glow, often appearing on the masts of ships during thunderstorms. A more folkloric explanation ties the ghost ship to local legend and maritime lore, suggesting that the ship is cursed or is a bad omen. appearing before disasters or as a warning to sailors and fishermen of the strait. This aligns with maritime tales from cultures around the world, where ghost ships often signify doom or carry the lost souls of mariners. As of today, the ghost ship of Northumberland Strait remains a mystery. It continues to capture the imagination of locals and tourists alike, with new sightings reported every few years. Whether it is a product of collective maritime folklore, a paranormal phenomenon, or an as-of-yet unexplained natural occurrence, the ghost ship remains an enduring legend of the Canadian Maritimes. Number 5. The Toynbee Tiles. The Toynbee Tiles are a fascinating urban mystery that has intrigued the public and conspiracy theorists alike for decades. The tiles consist of linoleum messages found embedded in the asphalt of streets in various major cities across the United States and 4 South American capitals. The tiles typically bear cryptic messages referring to resurrecting the dead on planet Jupiter, based on an interpretation of Arnold Toynbee's philosophical ideas and the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey. The first reported sightings of these tiles date back to the early 1980s, primarily in Philadelphia. However, since then, they have been discovered in numerous other cities, including New York, Boston, Washington, D.C., and Chicago, among others. The most common inscription found on these tiles reads, "Toynbee idea in Kubrick's 2001, resurrect dead on planet Jupiter." The origin and purpose of these tiles remain a mystery, but they are generally believed to be the work of an unknown individual or group, with obvious influences from the historian Arnold J. Toynbee and filmmaker Stanley Kubrick. The Toynbee reference is thought to be connected to Toynbee's theory that societies must continually die and be reborn to survive, while the Kubrick reference is to his film 2001: A Space Odyssey, which features themes of space exploration and human evolution. One theory suggests that the tiles are the work of a single individual, a Philadelphia carpenter named James Marasco, who was said to have had strong beliefs in resurrection and was known to have contacted talk shows and newspapers to discuss his theories in the 1980s. Moreover, Marasco died in the early 2000s, and new tiles have continued to appear. Some speculate the tiles are a form of guerrilla art or a vast, unsanctioned public art project. The secretive placement of the tiles and their cryptic message suggest an individual or group using public space to communicate a philosophical or metaphysical idea.
This just sounds ridiculous. Like, these are big tiles randomly in the dirt or in the cement in random places in the United States, South America, and they all like have these messages, but no one knows how they're there and how they got there.
Without seeking permission or recognition. The documentary Resurrect Dead: The Mystery of the Toynbee Tiles, released in 2011, follows a group of Toynbee tile enthusiasts who delve deep into this urban mystery. They propose several theories about the tile's creator and his methods, but ultimately leave the mystery unsolved. Despite these efforts, the creator or creators of the Toynbee tiles and their full intentions remain unknown. The tiles continue to be a subject of fascination, inspiring both admiration and confusion. They have become part of urban folklore, embodying the human desire for mystery, the unexplained, and the power of anonymous public expression. As of today, new tiles continue to appear, although they differ slightly in style and message, indicating that the original tiler may no longer be active, or that copycats have taken up the cause. The mystery of the Toynbee tiles remains unsolved, captivating the imagination of those who stumble upon them, and those who seek them out as part of an urban treasure hunt spanning continents. Number 4. The Ghost Army of World War II. The Ghost Army of World War II refers to a unique and secretive unit of the United States Army known officially as the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops. This group, which operated from 1944 until the end of the European War in 1945, comprised more than 1,100 men, many of whom were artists, actors, architects, and engineers. Their mission was singular and highly unconventional for military standards: to deceive and mislead the German army through illusion and artistry, thereby contributing to the Allied victory in Europe. The inception of the Ghost Army, a concept inspired partly by British...
Do we know this is a confirmed thing? Or is this the unsolved part? This is the unsolved part if this is actually an actual thing, something people create in their head.
Operations like Operation Bertram during the North Africa campaign was driven by the realization that traditional combat tactics alone would not ensure victory. The unit was assembled with individuals from various creative backgrounds, recruited for their artistic skills and innovative thinking. They were trained not only in traditional military skills, but also in the arts of deception and subterfuge. The Ghost Army's tactics were diverse and ingeniously crafted. They employed inflatable tanks, planes, jeeps, and artillery pieces, which, from a distance, appeared indistinguishable from real military hardware. These fake armaments were moved from place to place, creating the illusion of significant troop movements where, in reality, there were none. Sound trucks broadcasted pre-recorded sounds of bridges being constructed, tanks moving, and troop activity to...
There was no way this is real. No way. This is way too thought out and way too ridiculous. There is no way this is actually real. I don't believe this is real.
Further enhance the deception. The unit also used radio deception, transmitting fake communications to mislead enemy eavesdroppers about the Allies' plans. Additionally, members of the Ghost Army would don the uniforms of different US Army units and visit nearby towns, spreading misinformation and rumors about troop movements and military plans. This practice of atmosphere, creating a misleading environment through a combination of visual, auditory, and human intelligence, was crucial to their strategy. The Ghost Army participated in more than 20 operations throughout the European theater, often operating very close to the front lines. Their deceptions were credited with saving thousands of lives by drawing German forces away from actual Allied operations. One of the most notable successes was during Operation Plunder, the crossing of the Rhine River in March 1945, where their efforts contributed to the efficacy of the Allies' surprise crossing. The activities of the Ghost Army were kept under strict secrecy during and long after the war. Many of the unit's members went on to have successful careers in art, design, and entertainment, drawing upon their unique wartime experiences. The story of the Ghost Army remained largely unknown until declassification in the 1990s, and since then, it has been the subject of documentaries, books, and exhibitions. Today, the legacy of the Ghost Army is preserved through the efforts of historians, family members of the veterans, and enthusiasts who seek to recognize and honor the innovative and brave contributions of these soldiers. Efforts have been made to award the unit a Congressional Gold Medal, acknowledging their service and the impact of their unorthodox but highly effective tactics. The story of the Ghost Army showcases the power of creativity in warfare, demonstrating a different kind of bravery and ingenuity that played a vital role in the Allied victory in World War II. Number 3.
Wait, what's unsolved about this then? Because most of it was unsolved, but you said most declassified made it pretty much most people know about, so they do documentaries on it. What's unsolved about it?
3. The disappearance of Frederick Valentich. Frederick Valentich's story begins in Melbourne, Australia, where he was born to Italian immigrants in June 1958. Growing up in a supportive family environment, Frederick developed a keen interest in aviation from a young age, dreaming of becoming a professional pilot. Despite his passion, his journey into the field was marked by challenges. Valentich struggled academically, failing multiple examinations and receiving criticism for his flying abilities. However, these setbacks did not deter him. They only fueled his determination to succeed. By the time of his disappearance, Valentich had accumulated about 150 hours of flying time. He was working part-time at an army barracks to support his flying lessons, and had aspirations of joining the Royal Australian Air Force. However, his applications were rejected due to his insufficient educational qualifications and poor flying record. Undeterred, Valentich continued flying, hoping to improve his skills and eventually reapply to the RAAF. On October 21, 1978, Valentich embarked on a routine flight from Moorabbin Airport in Melbourne to King Island, a small island located in the Bass Strait between Victoria and Tasmania. The weather conditions were favorable, and nothing seemed amiss when he left at 6:19 p.m. However, during the flight, Valentich contacted Melbourne Air Traffic Control to report an unidentified aircraft that seemed to be following him. His descriptions of the craft were perplexing. He claimed it was flying at high speeds, had unusual lights, and was orbiting above him. His last known words, "It's not an aircraft," were followed by a mysterious, metallic scraping sound before the transmission abruptly ended. The disappearance prompted an extensive air, sea, and land search covering over 1,000 square miles. Despite these widespread efforts, no trace of Valentich or his Cessna 182 was ever found. The official investigation by the Department of Transport concluded that the reasons behind the disappearance could not be determined.
That's insane. So he just goes on ding and he's like, hey, there's another aircraft, I don't know what it is, and then it ends with, that's not an aircraft, and then transmission goes dead, they can't get a hold of him, and then he's gone. No one can find him. He's not in the sea, they can't find him on land, they can't find him in the air, they can't find anything.
The report suggested that Valentich might have become disoriented and lost control of his aircraft, leading to a fatal crash into the sea. But this was speculative, as no debris or evidence of a crash was ever discovered. Over time, several theories have emerged regarding
Man would probably alienize her.
Valentich's fate. Some speculate that he staged his disappearance or committed suicide, although these theories are contradicted by reports of his known character and life plans. Others suggest he may have been disoriented, mistaking the planet Venus or another natural phenomenon for an extraterrestrial craft, leading to a state of panic and eventual crash. The most sensational theory, fueled by Valentich's own interest in UFOs and the content of his final transmission, is that he encountered an extraterrestrial spacecraft, leading to his abduction. In the years following Valentich's disappearance, the case has remained a topic of interest for aviation experts, UFO enthusiasts, and the general public. It has sparked debates, documentaries, and articles, each exploring a different facet of the mystery. Despite the passage of time, new evidence has been scant, and the case remains as unsolved as ever. Today, the disappearance of Frederick Valentich is still shrouded in mystery, with no concrete answers to the many questions it raises. His family, while having accepted his loss, still seek closure and answers to what happened on that fateful night. The Valentich case remains one of Australia's most enduring
That's a case that'll never be solved.
aviation mysteries, a poignant reminder of the complexities and unknowns of both human experience and the vast skies above. Number 2. The Green Children of Woolpit. The tale of the Green Children of Woolpit is a fascinating and enduring story that has
I've never heard this one. This is new to me.
mystified historians, folklorists, and the curious alike for centuries. This strange and unsettling tale originates in the 12th century in the village of Woolpit in Suffolk, England, an area known for its deep wolf-trapping pits, called wolf pits, from which the village derives its name. According to chroniclers of the time, including William of Newburgh and Ralph of Coggeshall, one day during the chaotic reign of King Stephen of England, 1135 to 1152, the villagers of Woolpit discovered 2 children, a brother and sister, beside one of the wolf pits. What set these children apart was not merely their unexpected appearance and unknown origin, but their skin. It was green. Beyond their unusual complexion, they wore unfamiliar clothing woven from a strange material and spoke an unrecognizable language. The villagers, baffled by the appearance of the children, took them to the home of Sir Richard de Calne, a local landowner. The children initially refused all food offered to them until they came across raw broad beans, which they consumed with great hunger. However, despite eventually adapting to normal food, only the girl survived. Her brother, sickly from the outset, eventually succumbed and died. As the girl learned to speak English, she relayed a curious story of their origins. She spoke of a land with no sun, where everything was green, called St. Martin's Land. According to her, she and her brother were tending to her father's herds in the field when they followed the cattle into a cave. Entranced by the sound of bells, they wandered deeper, eventually emerging into the bright sunlight of Woolpit. The transition from their homeland to this new environment was marked by the sound of those enchanting bells. Over time, the girl lost her green hue and integrated into English society, eventually receiving baptism. The story suggests that she led a relatively normal life thereafter, though she was often regarded as being particularly liberal and unrestrained in her conduct, compared to what was expected at the time, as William of Newburgh described. Theories about the Green Children have ranged from the fantastical to the scientific. Some suggest they were aliens or residents of a subterranean world, unfamiliar to the surface. A more historical perspective posits that they were Flemish immigrants, possibly orphaned by the conflicts of the period, who wandered from their homeland, their green complexion explained by malnutrition that could result in chlorosis, the so-called green sickness. Another popular theory is that the story of the Green Children is an allegory or folk memory, reflecting cultural and societal tensions of the time.
Yeah, it's not a real story. It's not a real thing that happened. There's no fucking way it's a real thing that happened. So,
such as displacement caused by war and the social assimilation of peoples of different origins. Despite the various interpretations and theories proposed over the centuries, the true origin and nature of the story of the Green Children of Woolpit remains a mystery. Their story reads like a blend of historical record and folklore, sitting uncomfortably between reality and fantasy. The absence of concrete evidence and the fantastical elements of the story, the green skin, the unknown language, and the mysterious other world, contribute to its enduring allure and its status as one of the most intriguing legends of medieval England. To this day, the Green Children of Woolpit remains a captivating unsolved mystery, a historical puzzle wrapped in a fairy tale, leaving us wondering about the thin line between history and myth, and the truths that may lie hidden in the tales of old. Number 1. The Dancing Plague of 1518. In July 1518, the street...
I think this is the only one I know that must be real, because there's no way someone could create this. This story could be so If this story is so exaggerated and is not actually real, I don't know why this story exists.
Streets of Strasbourg were witness to an extraordinary and unsettling spectacle. It began with just one woman, Frau Trophia, who stepped outside her home and, without music or apparent reason, began to dance. Her movements were neither joyful nor coordinated, but frantic, as if compelled by some invisible force. As hours turned into days, her solitary dance did not cease. Instead, it became a public display of uncontrolled and ceaseless motion. Imagine the scene. The cobbled streets of this medieval city, usually bustling with the everyday noise of commerce and chatter, now echoed with the singular, rhythmic thumping of one woman's feet. Crowds gathered, not to join in celebration or festivity, but out of curiosity and growing horror, as Frau Trophia continued to dance, her body racked with inexorable energy that showed no signs of waning. Then, as if the sight of one woman dancing to the brink of exhaustion was not strange enough, others began to join her. The dancing started slowly, but soon dozens of people, some sources claim hundreds, of all ages and from all walks of life, were caught in the same relentless grip of whatever madness had seized Frau Trophia. The streets of Strasbourg became a bizarre carnival of suffering, as people danced until they collapsed from fatigue, their feet bloody and bruised, their faces marked by an inexplicable mix of agony and ecstasy. Authorities, bewildered and desperate, decided to encourage the dancing, believing that the afflicted must continue until they could dance no more. Platforms were erected.
That sounds like the exact opposite of what you should do there, but then again, the 1500s, they probably did not do fucking anything.
Musicians were hired, and the town was transformed into an open-air dance hall of despair. But the remedy was a catastrophe, as the dancing only intensified and the number of victims grew, with some dancers dropping where they stood from strokes or heart attacks. This was not revelry. This was a plague of dancing, a phenomenon defying explanation, which swept up the people of Strasbourg with an uncontrollable and ultimately fatal frenzy. This event was not isolated in the record of history. Several similar outbreaks were said to have occurred in medieval Europe. However, the Strasbourg epidemic was by far the largest and most well documented. The city's authorities were confounded by the crisis. Their initial prescription of more dancing to cure the afflicted was based on the advice of physicians who believed the disease was due to overheated blood that could only be alleviated through the dance itself. Theories about the cause of this bizarre epidemic have varied widely over the centuries. One of the more popular explanations is ergot poisoning, which occurs when rye bread, a staple of the diet at the time, becomes contaminated with a toxic fungus. Ergotamine, a compound produced by the fungus, is structurally similar to LSD and can cause hallucinations and convulsions. However, this theory fails to account for the victim's behavior. Rather than convulsions typical of ergotism, those afflicted in Strasbourg simply could not stop dancing. Psychological explanations have also been proposed, such as mass psychogenic illness, formerly known as mass hysteria. This theory suggests that the dancing was a collective stress response to the harsh conditions of life in the medieval period, including disease, famine, and the religious fervor of the times. Under this theory, Frau Trophia's initial dance could have been a physical manifestation of extreme stress or despair, which then spread to others due to the perfect storm of psychological stressors. Some cultural historians suggest that the dancing could have been a ritualistic or superstitious act, possibly related to ancient Greek and Roman festivals or a heretical cult. However, there is little evidence to support these claims, and they do not explain the physical exhaustion and deaths that resulted from the dancing. In recent times, other theories have surfaced, including that the dancing was a social phenomenon, a form of protest, or even an organized cult activity. But these lack substantial historical evidence and fail to fully explain the breadth and severity of the event.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this reaction video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit the like button and subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all for the next one.